Take two.
All right, after you.
Thank you.
After you.
Thank you.
So we'll just pretend that we didn't do this already. Welcome to the distillery.
Smell's still here.
The smell is indeed still here, yes. So this is where the production happens. So what comes into this building is malted barley, and what leaves is essentially new make spirit, very strong alcohol. This is our malted barley here. Now we're making a heavily peated whiskey here, which is very different to what we make up at Lagranza. They've been dabbling in peated whiskey on and off for a wee while. They've made us some lovely peated malts to sell until ours is ready. But they mostly make unpeated whiskey, and that's peat here. You used to cut the peat back in the 80s, didn't you?
Oh, yeah, we used to be allowed to cut.
Back in the 60s, wasn't it?
No.
The 40s, I think, actually.
I love the smell of peat. And we used to be allowed to rent a peat bank from the estate. And we would literally go up and dig the peat. It was great.
I've never told her this before, but I actually talk about her on the tour, actually.
Oh, wow.
But yep, there's a lot of peat in our barley. It comes from the malting process when we're creating lots of starch and sugar, which we eventually convert to alcohol. That's it in there. We need to get it out though. And what we do, we take 4 tons of ground up, heavily peated malted barley, and it goes into this mash tun, which is like a giant teapot, basically. And you can actually stick your head in it. It's got a very good echo.
No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die.
Is there anybody there?
You could set quite a good murder mystery in a distillery, not going to lie. And if the video cuts out after I said that, I am not guilty.
This is proper video this time. Not that Wi-Fi nonsense.
This will be the evidence. But it's 4 tons of malted barley that go into here. We add hot water, basically, and the hot water interacts with the barley, and through that process we basically extract a sugary barley water called wort, which goes into the next stage of production.
It looks like something out of a Jules Verne movie. You know, I feel that if we went in there, we could go to Journey to the Centre of the Earth.
It's like a portal in there.
Yeah.
When it starts to spin as well and mulch up, it is pretty cool looking.
It's all very steampunky.
I love it. I just love it. I love it.
But yeah, it's so what happens after this is really fun, because that's when the fermentation begins, and we take 20,000 litres of our sugary barley water, and that goes into the next stage of production. And I've opened one of these already, because you can start to see it happening.
They're huge.
They are huge. They'll hold 25,000 litres to capacity, but we'll only fill them to 20,000 because we need a lot of space at the top, because this is where the fermentation happens. Now this is a couple of days old now, so it's really started to die down. But when the yeast, which is our third ingredient, goes in, it starts to really, really bubble up. And that's what people sometimes don't realise. When we're making single malt whiskey, compared to gin or compared to vodka, we only really use 3 ingredients: malted barley, yeast and water. That's it. In our case though, we're obviously using heavily peated malted barley, but compared to a lot of other spirits like rum and whatnot, it is a lot more bare bones, shall we say.
It looks like a big creme brulee.
You should see it when it first goes in, actually, because when it first goes in, within about 5 minutes, it forms this really crusty, biscuity top, and it smells really, really good.
We should point out, this is not the depth of this container.
No, they're very, very deep. They go all the way down below the floor, and like I say, to the brim, they'll hold 25,000 litres of liquid in total. And we have 4 usually going at a time. We'll fill them to 20,000 litres every kind of production day. You can kind of see, I can show you the height of them if you want.
We're just, it's very unnerving walking on this, isn't it?
No, I like to be in the path.
Well, we do normally say on the tours to stick to the path as best as possible, because it can trigger vertigo in some people.
So these swingy arm things that are burling, they're not actually in the mixture?
No, when it first fills, in the first couple of hours, it gets really, really, really volatile, and it's basically just chopping the head, essentially. It's stopping the bubbles going up too high and overflowing. At Lagranza, their production is a little bit different to ours. Their fermentation is a little bit faster and a little bit more volatile. They sometimes have to put weights on the lids, and if they open the wrong one, it can overflow because it's so volatile in there. And that's what the blades are doing. They're just stopping the bubbles overflowing.
Right, okay.
A lot of people think they're cooling it down, but they're not. When this starts to get going, a couple of days in, it gets really hot. The fermentation itself is a chemical reaction, really. It's the sugar being converted to alcohol, but the byproduct is all the oxygen gets converted to carbon dioxide, basically.
So is that that's the cleaning for cleaning the bottom of the tank out?
Yes, it's one of our stillsmen, Fitzy's, put this here as a visual aid to show how big they are. This yellow section goes to the bottom of one of our washbacks, and at the very end there we've got a bit of red tape which shows the top, and it just shows the size of it. Mahusif.
It's a bit more than a yardstick.
Sometimes you do see them empty, depending on what time of the production week it is. But right now they are all full at various levels of fermentation. But once it's done, depending on the yeast stream we've used, depending on the time of the week, it's usually either 52 or 72 hours. We'll have a kind of 8% alcohol. It'll all die down, the yeast dies off, and most of the sugar's been converted to alcohol. And we're left with this alcohol that's a little bit like beer, but it's not really beer. It's called wash, basically. It's 8%. It's very lumpy and gunky. We don't add hops like a beer or anything. It's full of bits floating about in it. We don't filter it.
I'm not liking the sound of this very much.
Yeah, it's, I have tried it actually, because I do like beer. It's not great, not going to lie. But we're not making beer, obviously. This is what's going into the next stage of production. We are a distillery after all, and the main attraction is our stills. And that's what we take into this distillation, the 8% wash.
They're beautiful. They're really beautiful.
They're gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. So as with any single malt whiskey distillery, our stills are made of solid copper, and at their thickest point, they are 7 millimeters thick. They are very big as well. So this is our first still, the wash still, and it's this still we fill with 10,000 litres of our wash, our 8% beer-like substance, lumpy, gunky, very, very funky. You can see as well from all the residue that we leave all the gunk in it as well. All the residual dead yeast, all the kind of barley husk and whatnot. We do have to clean it out with caustic every few days or so. But this is where distillation happens, and this is the real fun. It's cool to the touch now, but this can heat up to just shy of 100 degrees, so it gets very warm. And on a lot of tours, you don't get to go anywhere as close as this.
No, it would be, yeah.
Which is why it's fun to be so close on a day when we're not producing. But distillation, I mean, if you paid attention in school, you'll know how it works. Basically, alcohol has a lower boiling point than water, so we heat it up, increase the pressure, and alcohol vapor will start to rise. Come along here, down here. Got lots of cold water pipes in here. Now the water and the alcohol don't touch, but the pipes convert it back down to a liquid by cooling it down, and that's what comes out here.
Oh,
It's low wines, 55 to 0.2%.
I love the colours in the copper. That's super.
That's, a lot of it's not actually copper. Some of the equipment is stainless steel. We've kind of changed the colour for the
copper-fied
aesthetic.
it.
Copper-fied it, yes.
I know. But I mean, look at the view too that you have.
Absolutely beautiful. Yeah, floor-to-ceiling windows. It is an absolute pleasure working here.
And these are the new warehouses.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, we've got 3 more going up. We're running out of space.
So this is where all the casks are going to be stored?
Exactly. Yeah. So we don't really mature any Arran whiskey off Arran. We did reach capacity a while back, and there's a couple of casks over in Campbelltown. But other than that, all of our Lagg whiskey will be matured on site. And actually, a lot of Lagranza whiskey is matured here too, just because we don't have as much space up there at the moment. We're the same company, so we do share.
That Comori Church there?
It is, yeah. It's someone to turn it into like a rum distillery or something. That'd be cool.
It's just such a beautiful landscape, and the building, although it's a modern building, just fits in here so nicely.
Yeah, it's really cool. I love the kind of the contrast between old and new, because our production, even though we're in a brand new modern building, our production's a little bit more hands-on and a little bit more manually operated than a lot of other distilleries I've ever been to. There's far less computer automation here than even Lagranza, for example. So it is a cool contrast, a brand new modern building and a much more hands-on.
Some kind of a horror movie.
I know, I love it.
So this is our second still. Like all whiskey in Scotland, we double distill and we use 2 stills. This is our spirit still. So basically what comes off the first distillation will go through the second distillation. It's a 7,000 litre capacity this time. Yeah, you wanna? Oh, yeah, no worries.
I'm sure it's fine.
we go to it? No worries. You can tell nobody else is here because our lights have timed out.
Oh,
If you want to take a seat, I can get you some new make to try because it's very nice.
oh, this is lovely.
This is one of our tasting rooms, yeah. We have 2 tasting rooms. We've got a lot of space. We're very, very lucky, actually. But this is my favourite tasting room we do. A lot of our tastings, a lot of our tours finish here as well. And it's a great space to sort of sit down for an hour or so and try some whiskies.
Do you ever get people that get too enthusiastic about the tastings?
I mean, enthusiasm's a great thing. We want people to be enthusiastic about the whiskey. Obviously, within reason, you have to be sensible, of course. But speaking of tasting...
Oh, right, okay.
You thought you were going to get away with this, didn't you? So one of the interesting things about Lagg Distillery is we opened our doors for the first time June 12, 2019. We filled our first casks in March of that year, and for anybody that knows about whiskey, you'll know that, well, basically that means our whiskey's not ready yet. Whiskey takes 3 years and 1 day to mature. So we have a lovely selection of whiskey across our Macleod range, which were made for us by Lagranza, our big sister, in our style. And that's the basis of our tastings that we do, the Macleod tasting, a selection of heavily peated whiskies made at Lagranza. But we also have our new make spirit, which is what we make here at Lagg Distillery. And this is what is going to basically become our whiskey. It's collected during a very special part of the second distillation, the heart of the run, or the middle cut, between 73 and 63%. We gather it up for the week and we dilute it down to 63.5. And that's what's going into our casks and will become our whiskey. And we should be releasing it at some point next year.
Well,
so
you
keep
tell
an
your
eye
daughter
out.
to stop talking for a minute so we can try some.
You can take your mask off if you're going
Well,
to try some
I
whiskey,
can.
You
yeah.
can indeed. So I've poured myself one as well. So this here is our
So you could take your
63
mask off if you could.
Actually can, can't I?
Yeah.
63.5% new make spirit. So it's not a whiskey, not yet, but it gives you an idea of what our whiskey might be like in the future. Give it a wee nose, it's really nice.
I haven't had any of that since I was in Alabama.
That actually smells nice.
It does, doesn't it? A lot of people expect battery acid or lighter fluid or something, but
Well, it did cross them.
WD-40.
what you can do, a wee trick, because it's so strong, we can get beneath the weight of the alcohol by basically rubbing it away. So
Why would you want to do that?
pop your hands. Because I know you're driving, Graham.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. That's all right, this is recorded. By the time this goes out, I'll be home.
A nice tight seal.
Right, go on.
Flip your hand round. We've got a little bit on our hands. We're going to rub the alcohol away. This is like a very good, like aftershave or angel shave.
Where does it go? Yeah.
We're rubbing away the alcohol to find what's beneath it, so we can have a wee sniff. And you should get a lot more coming through now.
Oh, yeah, I can smell the wood.
Well, it's not touched the wood actually, so
No?
what you might be smelling, what you might be smelling is actually the barley itself, the grain, and the peat
amazing.
smoke.
It's the peat then, yeah, it's the
the
peat
peat you're
smoke.
smelling, definitely. It's heavily peated, 50 parts per million. And yeah.
That's lovely. That's really, and I'm not a great whiskey drinker. I obviously don't have a great nose for things like that, but that smells gorgeous.
We've not
There's
even.
more rum and vodka and gin and wine and beer
Yes,
and everything but.
we get our wine delivered to the house. But no, it is surprising
That's lovely.
how
That's
much
really nice.
malted barley, yeast and water, that's all that's in that bit, and the peat smoke coming through, of course. But
And
this
nothing
is,
else will be added to it. It just
No.
matures.
It just
I wonder
matures.
if I put that in my hybrid, whether my car would actually go properly.
It's a good sanitizer as well.
So the next flavour that will go into that will really be the wood.
Yeah, the wood.
From the cask.
So that's the maturation, that's the final step. And we're filling just under 90 casks a week here at Lagg at the moment. We've just increased production actually. So before that it was about 70 casks. But we've just gone up now. And those casks are maturing as we speak, just in those warehouses there. And that is obviously the final stage of production. That is, well, to a lot of people, the most important part of making whiskey. So that's when whiskey's going to get a lot of its heart, a lot of its colour, and a lot of the character and flavour as well.
But you also use this. You have your own truffles made by James' chocolates.
James of Arran made some amazing dark chocolate new make spirit truffles for us.
And he uses
Yeah, he uses that. Yeah,
And you sell this in the shop?
we do. Yeah, it's a great mixer for cocktails. It's great in cooking. We have Vice Roast, who are based in Edinburgh. It's Fraser McPherson, the brother of our head chef. He roasts coffee with it as well, which is pretty cool.
And it's used in the menus because you've got some wonderful.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's used in.
Sometimes it's. Stuart can get quite creative with it. He's got some slow make kind of. It's like kind of slow gin, kind of maturing as we speak in the stockroom downstairs, which is very nice. But no, Stuart's very talented. The kitchen staff all are, and the menu items at the moment are.
The menu looks delicious. It looks really nice. Just remember to book if you're coming down.
We use a lot of non-alcohol kind of things related to whiskey, so a lot of ferments as well are used across the menu.
A lot of locally produced stuff.
A lot of locally produced stuff. We try and use as much local stuff as possible. So you're very excited, sort of happy to do that. The menus across both sites are quite different too. We have a cafe menu downstairs, more family friendly. The hot dogs are amazing, by the way.
I need to come down and try them.
Yeah, you should definitely. And upstairs is the Shieling Bar and Bistro, so that's more of kind of whiskey pairings and tapas style as well. So
I have sampled some of that in the past.
So have I. It's
always
lovely.
Beautifully presented and very tasty. Yep.
Yeah, so we do have both our menus available on the website as well if you are interested in booking for lunch too, and if you're interested in booking for a tour or tasting as well, I'd recommend booking too. So bookings at laggwhiskey.com, or you just give us a call.
It's turning into one big advert, this, isn't it? Really?
Yeah, but it's worth it, definitely. Come down. Even just for the building, it's beautiful. And the tour, the whiskey tasting, it's a great day out.
Oh, sorry, did you want this back?
You can have it. There's not much left in the bottle, to be fair.
Right, come on. Can't sit here drinking all day.
Oh, we can if we wanted.
We need to get the view from the Shieling.
Do you
We
want to
haven't
go
got
back
that
yet?
yet.
Let's go this way then.
We do apologise for losing our live signal earlier. I hope this is better than what's this?
I'm still smelling my hands. It smells wonderful. I like the smell
It's
of
so
that.
good, isn't it? I love doing that.
This is lovely. The drumming den.
The drumming den, yes. We also have the tasting lab. That's the other tasting room we have. So we have, obviously, we've got a lot of space at the moment. We've got the Shieling upstairs, the cafe downstairs, and our shop just down there as well. Plenty to see, even if you're not interested in whiskey.
Actually, the shop's got some fabulous gift ideas too.
Also, you can buy whiskey there too.
You can buy whiskey there too.
Not a bad view, is it really?
Not a bad view, no, not at all. And we can see it today as well, which is fabulous.
The cupcake.
Right, anything else you want to point out, mention?
I think I've covered everything. We got lots of good food, tours and tastings, plenty to see. Yep.
And we will see you. Well, there's a couple of things possible going on this week.
Yeah, we've got a few things planned. It really depends on the internet.
And it depends how busy we are as well, because we're both pretty busy at the moment. But yeah, well, nobody can hear me. So we'll see you midweek somewhere. And apologies again for the interruptions. But that's what happens when we're out in the
It's all
field.
part of living in an island.
Indeed. Thank you very much to Fiona for the opening up especially for us.
Do appreciate that. That was lovely. And the tasting, really surprising.
A lot of people don't expect the new make to be so nice.
I know.
It's
I mean, I
good.
have tasted the truffles.
They're good. They're really good.
Right, thanks for now.
Thanks. Bye.